Indra, as usual, and I've got very interesting guests in today's program. Nigeria, once again, features in our today's program. The governorship were finished last week, with the exception of a number of states that include Kogo, Bayelsa, Nkiti, Osu, Edo, and Anambra that didn't vote for the governors because of the 4 terms hadn't finished for those. All the other states voted for the governors. Now, we may need details from my 2 guests in regards to that. And as I keep reminding you, Nigeria is one of Africa's biggest states, and what happens to Nigeria sometimes happens to the rest of the African continent. Because as they say, when Nigeria catches a cold, the rest of Africa sneezes. Now, I've got with me 2 chairmen of the leading parties in Nigeria. Mr. MACKWIN Mato, who is chairman of the PDP UK chapter. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I've also got Dr. Philip Edowe, the chairman of APC UK chapter. Welcome to the program.
Thank
I hope
you.
I pronounced your name
correctly.
Part of what we're going to discuss today is connected with the governorship. The elections are all long gone. That is the presidential elections. We know who won. But the governors is a different ball game altogether now, because as they say, the governors influence politics in Nigeria. If you get the right governors in, their chances are, in fact, they're almost like presidents in their own right. What is next now for Nigeria as far as the governors are concerned? Because the governors wield quite a lot of power in Nigeria, and I want my guests here to, I think I better start with you. What is next?
Well, the elections have come. I wouldn't say have gone.
Yeah.
Because so many states where PDP won,
yeah,
the election was cancelled.
Including the big, the PDP
including Kano,
yeah.
Plateau State. Well, Plateau State is in contention because APC was said to have won.
Okay.
Benue State and Bauchi State and so on.
Okay.
Well, I think APC is afraid that they will lose all these states. That is
when
why.
When are the final votes coming out? The very final.
Well, they are going to. The election is going to be held in the next 21 days, and they have not given a date yet.
Okay.
They said in the next 21 days.
Okay.
So we don't have a date yet.
All right. What do you think, Doctor?
Well, first, let me congratulate my colleague.
Yes.
I think that PDP as an opposition party,
yeah,
I think they've done extremely well, you know, in these elections. Sorry, we are seeing for the first time,
yeah,
an opposition political party doing as well,
yeah,
as PDP has done in these elections. Usually, once the presidential election takes place,
yeah,
you tend to have what you probably call the domino effect.
yeah, which comes back as the president.
Yeah, once the presidential election has held, what used to happen in the days when PDP had sway at the center was that all the states
will follow.
We just, they have a way of mobilizing the national aid resources or whatever, and make sure all the states become PDP.
Oh, right.
It used to just be that the states in the southwest of Nigeria and a few scattered states up north were able to resist their machinery to vote otherwise. But this time it's very close.
So, would it be called a kind of a protest vote for those states like that probably wanted to vote in another way, and then suddenly the presidential thing goes?
That's right.
Because that's what somebody suggested.
That is right. What happened
in Kano?
What happened actually is that, as you know, we've gone to a tribunal, and the presidency, the presidential election, is still being.
It's in a court of law already.
Now,
there's a lawsuit.
Now we are awaiting the outcome of this lawsuit. Now, what is happening is that certainly, because of the performance of APC, Nigerians are really unhappy.
They are unhappy.
They are unhappy. And certainly, you will see that APC is twisting the will of the people. And the people have resisted and are still resisting. And now, to the governorship elections, APC has seen the will of the people, but they don't want it that way because they know that they will lose. They decided to call on INEC to cancel the elections.
Oh, really?
So, and now, for example, I give you, they kind of like situations where they will corner some states and do the election at a particular time so that they can use the military might to go and intimidate people into voting for them. Just like what happened in Ocean State.
Where do you get these facts from?
Of course, that is there. No, that is what happened.
Yeah. I think you know, I think a good number of PDP members, they have a mindset, and that mindset is a mindset that they built over 16 years of being in central government, at the federal level. You know, and it's the mindset of using the military, the federal might, to intimidate and manipulate elections to their favor. That is why I started by saying that for the first time since Nigeria's return to democracy, we are having a situation where the government in power at the center, has allowed the citizens to have their say and to have their way. Now, if you look at the results so far announced in this governorship election, and you look at the map
of Nigeria,
of the presidential election, the states that were won by the APC and those that were won by the PDP, it's basically almost the same. Now, that is the southeast, the south-south, and then part of the Adamawa, Taraba, axis, the states bounding to Cameroon. If you see, basically that is how it's spread out. The Kano state elections, I think that even for those of us who are in APC, we were worried about the possible outcome. Because see, APC has a sitting governor there. The governor in power is an APC governor. But he's been accused of being involved in corrupt behaviors. And when you understand the psychology of the Kanu people, you will know that they will move against him. For a long time in Nigerian political history, even in those days where MPN was in power, Kanu consistently will vote PRP. The People's Redemption Party. It was a party that was embedded in the leftist socialist ideology, led by the late Malam Aminu Kano. They always consistently, they never cared about whether their party was at the center or not. So these are people who are very, very politically savvy and enlightened.
You've just said that they knew that the APC, the governor,
were worried.
Were worried that the APC governor was corrupt.
Not that we are worried. He was caught on tape.
Now, why would the party get rid of him?
No, you see, the thing is that when you said why wouldn't the party get rid of him?
If he's caught
in APC as a political party adopted a policy of direct primaries. In parties across the country. There were options. Look, let all members of the party vote for who will be the governorship candidate. Now, for some states who say no, we don't want a direct primaries, we want to have indirect primaries. In other words, a delegate system. A few states were given approval to do that. The people, members of APC in Kano, wanted the current governor to represent them. To say that the national leadership of the party should simply go and say no and remove him. I think if you say that the federal apparatus, were in a position to arrest him and try him, that's a different ball game. But as it is, and you started by saying this, the Nigerian president, the Nigerian governors have immunity.
Yeah.
Okay, from prosecution once they are in office,
Yeah.
and we have many of them. It is not. It's not peculiar. It's not peculiar to APC.
You see. He rightly said that they were kind of worried.
Yeah.
However, we have a government in place that has been singing that they are fighting corruption.
All right.
And this governor was caught on tape severally taking money in foreign currencies. And now the president went on public television to support the man, and even went to France and was defending the man, saying he doesn't even know what kind of technology they use to capture this. Why didn't he just outrightly condemn that?
Mr. President never supported the man. Mr. President never came out to say to support him.
He was now saying he doesn't even know what technology. It was on television.
Do you know why he was never prosecuted? Because if they have him on tape,
yes,
it's a live.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. He knows why the man was not prosecuted.
Yeah,
because he is an APC man.
He knows. No, he's a sitting governor. He's a sitting governor who has immunity.
Yeah.
You need to understand this. If we are fighting corruption,
what is there to understand?
If we are fighting corruption,
let me hear one of you.
Yes. If we are fighting corruption, the right thing should be done always. Now, if you tell me that you are fighting corruption, you should start from inward. Now, this is a governor, has done this. You should have outrightly said that is very wrong. Even that he is immune, as at now, the party will take action. The party would have.
I thought about that.
The party would have stopped his run for the second term.
How?
You understand? Because this is somebody that you are fighting corruption.
Yeah.
And then you have got somebody that has been caught on tape severally taking bribe, and you still put him forward. What does that mean?
The people of Kano, members of the party, put him forward. That is the first thing. Let me finish. Okay. Now, I brought up I raised the issue of Kano to point out something. You see, about this government, about the APC government, and that is this. This government is not protecting its own. This government is not using state resources and state apparatus to deprive or deny the opposition from winning elections. Unlike what the PDP
that's why the results are the way they are.
Yes, because if the APC was doing what they would simply sit down and write results. That's what they used to do. They simply sit down and write results.
The problem with APC, I want you to understand,
they just write results.
They bask in blame game. They like to say, "Oh, PDP did this, PDP did that." You are talking of people that were in PDP so many years back, and most of these people, most of the corrupt people, are now in APC. So they keep saying PDP, but the people there are mostly PDP people that have moved into APC. Let me say something. You mentioned something about militarization. Now, this government, this is supposed to be a democratic government. What place does the military have in democracy? Why would you, as a government, for example, send the military a day before election to Rivers State, to Port Harcourt, and go to a paramount ruler's house and arrest everybody you see, shooting and even killing people a night before election? A paramount ruler is supposed to be a traditional ruler, man of the people. Whenever the government has any problem, it is these traditional rulers that they use to communicate to the people. Why would they go to that house? Why would they go to that palace? Why would the military? Not even the police.
Let me hear what
you understand? Why would they do that? That is intimidation. At the end of the day, the next day, election took place, and of course PDP was leading and will continue to lead. That election was cancelled. Why would they do that?
Now,
so many people were killed a night before the election by the military.
Steve, I'm sure.
Can I hear what you have to say about
so,
it? Because
so why would a government that is fighting corruption?
There's something that I probably need to understand here, and probably our viewers need to understand as well. The fact that they are independent institutions of the state. Like the army is an independent institution. The generals and the police are supposed to be independent from the government.
Answerable to the executive. They are answerable to the president. And that is why he is using them.
Now,
that should not happen.
My question is that when incidents of that nature happen, and this is the law, we believe that there is the law in Nigeria, the rule of law, where you can actually sue the executive and say, look, the chief who was arrested or the other person could actually go to the courts of law and say, why did this thing ABCD happened? Because the only way you're going to correct these institutions is by using these very institutions which are supposed to be helping. This is where I keep
you see, this is clear intimidation. When you, a night before an election, go, harass, intimidate, arrest, and even kill people in the palace of the paramount ruler. So the next day, election may not even hold. But the people still came out for the election.
And they voted.
And then they voted.
I want to hear about the
data. And PDP was leading. And suddenly they now said inconclusive.
I'm very happy that the PDP chairman has come up with Rivers State. It is one of the most devastatingly rascally states, led by a very rascally thuggish governor in Nigeria. Now, I'm not using those words lightly. In 2015, the number of Nigerians that were killed, murdered in cold blood by the Rivers State government under this leadership, was the highest across the country, both before, during, and after. And all the people killed were APC members.
Really? Okay.
All.
This is interesting stuff.
Well, I don't know where he's getting this report from. But I'll tell you one thing. Amechi, the Minister for Aviation today, is APC member. And he was the governor then. He was the person that killed them.
When you say Amechi was, when you say Amechi was,
2015,
you forget that Amechi as governor was restricted by the military. In fact, the state commissioner of police, who was supposed to be taking instructions from, who was supposed to be working with the state governor, led a detachment to more or less put the governor under house arrest. At a point in time, the security attachment to the governor was withdrawn, all at the behest of the PDP federal government.
And that is what is happening now.
No, not that is what is happening now.
This is what is happening now.
No,
as I said, they mask in blending, talking about the past.
Nothing of the sort. You see, Steve, let me finish, Steve. You recall that during the presidential election, the Nigerian president came out expressly and made a statement that the military will be deployed.
Only when there is a problem.
No, they were deployed. They were told, make sure that nobody disturbs the peace. Nobody snatches ballot boxes.
Why not use the police?
Because when you say why not use police, you forget that in the situation, Rivers State that we talk about, the armory in that state, in the hands of the people that work for this man that he is defending, will overwhelm the police in that state.
Now, you know one thing, can I say something?
The armory in the hands of the thugs that the PDP uses.
Let me come in here. You see, he is talking about the power of the central government, the federal government. Now, I mentioned to you, they sent the military a night before the election.
They were there even before the night before.
Excuse me. Now, Amechi, the Minister for Aviation, that was governor in 2015, that this thing happened. If he is of the opinion that that was done to him, Well, that is his opinion. That has passed. That cannot happen now.
Because you have a government that is responsible.
Secondly,
it cannot happen now because you have a responsible government.
Okay. Now, if this government is responsible, they will not send the military to shoot at sight, to shoot.
According to the interpretation of PDP.
Why didn't he pass the election bill?
That has
why did he pass
that? Has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with what we are discussing.
If you catch somebody snatching the box, you can arrest such a person and prosecute him according to the law. Now, but the same thing happened in Kano and other states, and in fact, the deputy governor was caught in election malpractice. This last election, did they shoot him? What happened? Right. So why would they send a detachment of the military, even a night before election, to go and destabilize the people of the state?
What were the people doing in the palace?
I want us to... Of course, a palace. People should go to the palace.
Can I...
In Lagos, don't people visit the palace?
Yeah, can I turn on something else a little bit?
Or in Kano?
Because this is a no-win kind of situation, because you both have...
valid points. PDP has a valid point.
Whether both points are valid. Yes. But the issue of the governors and the way they shape the leadership of the states and the way, because when we look at the governor, we look at somebody who is almost like a president in that region. And so many outsiders like me would want to know the roles that the governors are playing in terms of the laws, for example. There's one thing which is sort of disturbing us. The governor of one of the states actually declared Sharia law, and yet the central government was saying, hang on a minute, this country has Christians and Muslims, so you can't have, you can't have martial law in your, but it went on in the northern part of the country. I just need to know
some northern states.
Your opinion on this, because it happened a couple of years ago, and the government was powerless to stop it. So it's similarly, from what you both are discussing, it seems the government at the top, the central government, has very little power in regards to what the governors are doing. Whether this is something that has to be changed as we go along, as Nigeria moves forward.
Well, that be you see, the situation is that in my country, it appears that some people can do things and get away with it, while others are not allowed to do anything at all.
Zafari state, I think, is
and,
one of the states.
And just as we are saying here about fighting corruption, where somebody that is clearly corrupt and there is a case against him and the EFCC is after him, suddenly joins APC, he is forgiven and now given leadership in the party. And clearly the chairman of the APC even stated it, that they forgive sinners. Come to us, we'll forgive you. Clearly, I have a clip on that. Do you understand?
Okay.
And so you see, now, during PDP government, the president was an educated man, a very simple man, and had in mind freedom for every Nigerian. Do what is right. He never imposed himself or his government on anybody. So when these people came up with this Sharia law, well, he felt, well, if that is what your state wants, go on with it.
Go with that.
So they started it. But you see, it is surprising for people that are not upright to come up with laws that will not always affect them, but others. You can imagine somebody is said to have stolen a chicken. They go and cut his arm.
Because of that.
And then the governor will be stealing millions of dollars. Nothing happens. Instead, he will be held
as a hero.
I mean, what kind of system is that?
What's your opinion on that issue? Because
first of all,
I need to really know where the power lies, because with the central government is supposed to be in control. We look at Nigeria is shaped the way America shaped its states, And the way, okay, the governors in America have got the powers. Okay, America is a different country altogether.
The Nigerian governors have the powers as well.
They have the powers. They can even stop somebody from being killed. For example, in America, you know, they
Nigeria
can stop
too.
suicide.
Nigeria too.
Now, the shape of it is such, but then there is the federal law that's to deal with the entire country, whereby then all the states have to obey certain laws which are connecting.
It's a federal government. We run a federal system of government. And what it means is that there are laws and issues that are domiciled in the state. In other words, the state government have the power to deal with them. There are laws that are domiciled with the federal government. So it's a federal government. Now, on the issue specific to which you asked, that was Governor Yerima of Zamfara State. That first introduced Sharia law. And that was during President Obasanjo's time. When that thing happened, Obasanjo just called it political Sharia. All Nigerians felt that should not be allowed to happen. But President Obasanjo at the time said he was not going to act because it is political Sharia. That it will die out.
Of a period of time,
That was what he said. That was his opinion. We knew that after Zamfara State, a number of other states adopted
the same thing,
Sharia. And they went on to set up their Sharia enforcement agencies and all of that. I think the point is this, that I totally agree. Nigeria is a multi-religious country. I wouldn't want to use the word secular, but a multi-religious country, and therefore no one religion should be promoted with state resources. And I don't think that has anything to do with APC in all of this. I think it's the question of the fact that the government and the people that were in power who ought to have tackled this issue head on, they didn't act. Why did they not act? Because of political considerations. They didn't act for reasons of political considerations, because they felt that they needed to massage the egos of these people in order to retain power. It was not about the interest of Nigeria. That is the bottom line. Because when all of this came on, it was not as if Nigerians kept quiet. Nigerians spoke up. Nigerians called out and said, no, this is not right. It should not be allowed to happen. No one is against any particular religion, but state resources must not be deployed to the promotion of religious issues. This same governor, Yerima, later became a senator. And this same man was the man who went on to marry a young Egyptian girl of 13 years. All right? We can go on. I think it's all about asking ourselves the questions of what is morally right. And this is at the heart of the problem that troubles Nigeria. When we come on TV or programs such as this and talk about the differences between these parties, this is where the issue is. The moral authority, of the man who is today at the helm of affairs, the man who is the president today, the moral authority that he commands, regardless of who is involved in an issue, for him to be able to stand up and resist the temptation of accepting what is wrong and calling it right. This is the difference. And this is the foundation, for the present democratic dispensation that unfortunately was laid for Nigeria by the PDP.
Oh, really?
It was laid because for 16 years, for 16 years, the concept of moral destruction and moral bastardy became entrenched, such that today young, old, male, female Nigerians, most people, they feel that you can do anything, the end justifies the means, because that was the concept that was being promoted, and that is why some of them pour out so much venom on President Buhari.
I can only say one thing here, is that the two parties, APC and PDP, have been in power, shared power for nearly 20 years. One has been in power, the other one has been in power. When I calculate, I'm just putting it all together. When has APC been in power, and when has PDP been in power? When we look at Nigeria, the shape of Nigeria is such that the two parties have shared power at some point. So the blame game falls on both of you, on both the parties.
You see,
it doesn't fall on one particular party. I'm trying to be here to see where the problem
you see, they keep saying PDP.
Because somebody has done something wrong, the other one has done something wong as well. Now, how do you collect that? This is where we are.
I can answer this.
Okay.
Going forward, you see, as he was saying, this man he mentioned is also an APC member. Up to today.
Oh yeah, he's an APC member. The governor.
He was PDP.
Yeah. He's not. All of them.
He left PDP and went to APC.
Was in PDP or
all of them ran away to. They are the ones that have. So if it is just the APC name, so the idea now is maybe okay, nobody should become a member of PDP.
Yeah.
Then let the name PDP maybe die. I don't know whether that will help. I think you understand. The thing is that all the culprits that they are talking about are in APC, are the ones running the APC government. So how can you keep blaming PDP, and all this this man?
It's very easy to answer. It's very easy to answer.
So look.
It's very easy to answer
you. This man, if he is actually fighting corruption, he should start anywhere. For one thing, let me tell you one thing. Let me tell you one thing. He was at a time head of state, and now that brings him into the leadership of Nigeria. Now, the previous heads of states and presidents usually have meetings. Now, when they go for these meetings, they are usually paid allowances, and of course, they are always taken care of. This man collects all this and never attended a single meeting, especially during Jonathan's time or even Obasanjo's time. But he was paid. So if you are an upright man, you are not participating in this, why will you be collecting this money?
Can I have the doctor say something about this? Because
look, he has spoken so much. Can I say something? Can I say it? Secondly, now you know very well that there are so many of these PDP people, most of them are in APC. Why don't you start fighting to cleanse them?
And clean up the party.
And clean up the party before going out to others. He keeps talking about anti-corruption. He keeps talking about uprightness. But is he upright? Or is his party upright? The chairman particularly of the party, they are always together. He should start from there, and then go on to others.
Right.
Well, I think that he has raised up very interesting issues. First of all, he spoke about the president collecting allowances, okay, for events or meetings that he didn't attend. I don't know where he's getting his information from, because one thing we do know for sure is this: that Mr. President, even before he became president, as retired head of state, as a retired general, is one man that we know that was reported in several Nigerian newspapers of somebody who will be paid monies,
his pensions and stuff like that.
Excuse me. Over and above what he was meant to earn, and he says no. He returns. He says, "This is what I am statutorily entitled to. I'm not making up any papers." All right, and he returns whatever he feels that statutorily does not belong to him or he should not earn. So where he is getting his information from Mr. President not attending Council of State meetings and collecting allowances, I have no idea where he's getting those from. Now, on the question of people who left PDP and came to join APC, okay, look, many of these people I think they thought that when they leave and come to join APC, they will go for elections, and what they were enjoying in PDP will continue. Of course, they have found out that that is not the case. I give example of Jim Nwobodo, for instance. Governor Jim Nwobodo, he was in PDP.
Yeah.
He left PDP and came to join APC.
Yeah.
All right. He thought that when he comes in, the way it used to be in APC, I mean PDP is the way it's going to be in APC.
Yeah.
He found out that no, there was no money to share, and there was no food to be taken. He's gone back to PDP.
Yeah.
I talk about
go back. Okay.
Yeah, he's gone back.
Yeah.
And that is what is happening to a number of them. They are going back. They are going back. They came in thinking that the idea of sitting down and taking nice and sharing the national cake will continue.
Yeah.
They came in and they found that no, this is a different ball game.
Yeah.
A political party, as one of our ministers says, like a church.
Yeah.
You cannot stop people from coming into the church,
No,
but you can prevent them from mounting the pulpit.
Now I need to know something before you respond to that, and what I need to know is that it is the cabals and their influence during the elections in Nigeria. There's one particular, they're called the Godfathers, by the way, and but in Nigeria they're called cabals. Now there's one particular, Godwin Akambia, I think that's the one you talked about.
Is it
from
Akwa
Akabia, from Akwa Ibom, yeah. And he left PDP and came to APC. And there is that saying that of course he took a huge chunk of PDP people with him when he went, and influenced of course the elections of the governor, of
the current governor,
of that particular state. Now there is individualism that comes here, and there is a lot at stake as far as the government is concerned, because these people, even if it's just a question of money, they have, for example, they will influence what goes on in society. In election, you get the wrong people who will come into power, and when these wrong people come into power because of the money influence, people who are going to work in the civil services are influenced by the governors and so on, and this has affected the development of Nigeria, because once you have the wrong people in place, it will always affect the output.
Steve, thank you very much. Thank you very much for pointing that out.
So, but I want to have a look at how this whole thing can be prevented, and it starts from people like you, who are the chairmen of this party.
You see.
If you can influence the people back home and say, look, because you're chairman, you're both chairmen of the two parties. I'm looking for Nigeria's interest here.
Yes,
just like I look for the Africa's interest here.
Can I say something in line with what you are saying, and to say something on what he had said earlier?
Yeah.
Now,
but don't forget my point as well about that issue. Yeah.
Yes. Clearly, the APC chairman during one of their campaigns was saying they welcome
anybody who comes in.
Anybody who comes in,
yeah, and
they will forgive them their sins.
Yeah.
And that is shown to us, and that we have seen clearly by Opabio, that was in PD, and others. Now, even our flag bearer was in APC, and the Senate president was in APC. They were the ones that bankrolled the campaign and election of Buhari. Now, because they saw his selective way of doing things, or of fighting corruption, they felt that no, that is not what they agreed. If you are fighting corruption, fight it on all sides.
Not from one side.
Not just picking somebody from another side. And I will tell you one thing. Even in this fight of corruption, the governors that have been prosecuted, I don't play religious politics. There is one, even that he is in APC, he is from Plateau State, I'm from a minority, and the other one is also from a minority, John Nyame. This is a Christian also, and there's another one. So why? What about people like Yerima? What about the other governors? Didn't they steal? What have you done about it? Do you understand?
Yeah, I do understand.
So now coming to this issue of
affecting the individualism.
Individualism.
Yeah.
Now, and the cabal thing.
Yeah, the cabals, yeah.
I don't really know why almost every country has a cabal.
Yeah.
Almost every country has godfathers.
Yeah.
But I wonder why Nigeria's case will be different. Now, this cabal, or these godfathers, are supposed to be people in the background, are supposed to be people that mingle with the people.
Of course, yeah.
But in Nigeria's case, it's like it is a kind of a people that are in a different planet. And it is like they do things without understanding what is on ground. Because as at today, no ordinary Nigerian is happy with the government from the federal level to the state level.
Yeah.
Even in this election, some of them are unhappy to go out, but just because they want change.
Can I have your opinion on that? Especially with the cabals and the influences they have, because either the parties have got to change and find a way of dealing with this issue, or raise money. Okay, raising money for election wouldn't be a very good idea, because again that would be bringing in corruption. How can it fight this? Because individuals, it's affecting the development of Nigeria.
Well, if you are asking about the issue of fundamental changes that you think you are asking, you know what my thoughts are.
Yeah.
My view is this: that foundations are as important in a building as well as in the building of nations.
Okay.
Foundations are very important. If you lay good foundations, the superstructure
will stand. Yeah.
If you lay wrong foundation, okay, the structure will be wobbling.
Of course.
At the heart of Nigeria's problem in our present dispensation is foundation.
Yeah.
I believe that the handover of power forcibly and corruptly to the group of individuals who came together, or were forced together by the military government under the banner of PDP, is at the heart of the problem that Nigeria has.
Okay.
Now, no, it's very serious.
Yeah, it is.
You see, when you bring together people of the worst moral character to oversee the development of a country, and for that group of individuals to be in charge over a sustained period of time, you can only end up with one thing: faulty foundation, and then faulty superstructure. That is at the heart of Nigeria's problem. Now, why is our political system wobbling? Why is it that our political parties don't seem to function too well? Why is it, for instance, you have such strong cult of personality in our politics? Why is it that our politicians find it so easy to hop from one party to the other? These are the questions we need to interrogate. And the reason is simple. The foundation for the current democratic dispensation that was laid in the PDP, okay, permeates across virtually all our parties. And I'm going to give you an example. From 1999 until APC was formed, only for 8 years you had PDP ruling in the southwest states of Nigeria.
All right.
Because the southwest was the bastion of the struggle against military dictatorship and the enthronement of democracy. And in one state, PDP has never ruled. Lagos State.
Okay.
That state today, regardless of what people want to say, has the strongest economy
in Nigeria.
Not just in Nigeria. In fact, Lagos State economy is stronger than the economy of most most African countries. All right. That is because the foundation that was laid from the very beginning has been a foundation of excellence and delivering of democratic norms to the people. Is it perfect? No.
It's not. But you could also remember that Lagos State is one of the with the Lagos and so forth, it's one of the areas that when the British came, is one of the areas where they put most of the infrastructure in place, and is one of the areas where, when we look at it, it's one of the development of it and the population of Lagos State.
The money,
point something
million.
The
money coming into Rivers State.
Yeah.
The money coming into Rivers State.
Yeah.
The money coming into Akwa Ibom State.
Yeah.
The money coming into Cross River State.
Yeah.
The money coming into Delta State.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If those monies were coming to Lagos State,
yeah,
I can assure you, Steve,
yeah,
that the development you will have in Lagos, okay, will probably be 5 times what you have today. Lagos State ran and has continued to run a disciplined government that has ensured that internally regenerated revenue is deployed rightly.
So how can you collect the issue that, how can that be corrected so that Lagos State doesn't leave the rest of Nigeria behind?
No. It is good for Lagos to continue the way it is, but we are going to take over Lagos very soon. Now, so let me tell you one thing.
How do you know
now,
that?
Yes,
Yeah.
as we keep saying, we seem to be rolling on the same things. Now, what is happening is that, yes, we had some deficiencies, we had some problems in the past.
Yeah.
Now, you will not say as a nation, because you had problems the previous year, you will not progress.
No.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, Nigerians voted in the APC in 2015 with the belief that they have got a Messiah in Buhari.
Yeah.
And with the manifesto that he presented to the people, he did not follow any of those. The first thing to do, if PDP were to be the government, would be to strengthen the institutions. Then leave or hand over, for example, the fight of corruption to the relevant institution. But this is a government that does not even respect the judiciary. When a case goes to court, for example, and a particular institution of the government is called upon, they don't even honor that. So how are you strengthening these institutions? So how would the nation grow if the government, if the executive itself is not honoring the judiciary? And then you find a section of people doing as they like, going to kill, steal, and so on, rape and so on. Not a single person is brought to book. And you will not hear the president coming out to say anything against that, or even some of the governors. But I assure you, if it were the other way around, for example, people from a different ethnic or religious background do something, the whole world will hear. So how will you progress like that?
Can I find out something here? I know accusations from the two. You're two chairmen, and obviously you're defending your various institutions, and that is great. But I want to know this from an individual point of view, whether any of you has seen something that is wrong and you acted upon and writing a letter or doing something that say, look, I believe this is not right, can we do something about it? I'll give you an example. America took refugees from Rwanda, from Tanzania, and took them to an American state, and they took people from Southern Sudan as well and took them to America. And I wrote to the Secretary General of the African Union at the time, and I said, he was a Tanzanian Secretary General at the time, Hassan Ali, I think, and I wrote a letter and I said, look, this is modern slavery. Why is America taking Africans to the US? And, when other African states are independent, if these refugees can't settle in Tanzania or somewhere else, why can't we take them? Why can't Uganda, Kenya, or Tanzania, or anyone else take them? And I got a response back from the Secretary General of the African Union, who said, look, UN tried to find where we can take these refugees, but no African state, not Nigeria, not Ghana, nobody wants to take them. They couldn't settle in Tanzania. others couldn't set up properly in Uganda, in southern Sudan, so we had to take them. America has a state which is practically almost empty. People are not there, so we took them to America. But America accepted to take them. Now I'm coming down to this. I acted, and I'm asking now, you as chairman of the various political parties, your two parties, if there's something, because it begins with you, if there's something that is not going right within your various parties, whether you've written to the chairman, to the various leaders, because you are in an outside in diaspora chapter, you're heading, and you think there's something that is not right, can that something be corrected? Because you're aware, especially in the issues we're discussing here, where people, for example, the wrong people are coming into the party, and you feel, like the people who are coming from APC and are going, was the malpractices that have happened, and try to come up with the ideas on how to correct them, because everything begins with us as individuals. Doctor, have you tried to do something like that?
I can assure you that from the APC side, all right, I can assure you that we engage very robustly with our party leadership, both the past and the present. We engage with them, and we do raise issues with them. We do not just to the party, even to the government. If we think there are things that needs to be done, we engage. We write.
What have you?
We communicate.
You have an example of something you've done?
Well, I mean, I cannot come out and be putting my party's internal matters on the public domain. But all I can say to you is that we do engage, we do communicate. In fact, sometimes we meet up with our party leaders. We sit down with them and we air our views. That is the diaspora chairman. We were in Abuja during the last national convention, for instance, and we had audience with our party leaders. We air our views. We will put our thoughts across. All right, and I think that,
and you see them being implemented.
Well, I mean, not all, not all, but some are taken on board, and they are brought into reality. The diaspora members of the party, for instance, are now being more and more, being recognized and given platforms within the party. For instance, during this presidential campaign, there is a special directory for diaspora that was created within the presidential campaign council.
The election thing, which was not accepted by the ruling party.
Which one?
APC, the Nigerians that wanted to take part in the election.
No.
That government hasn't. Buhari wasn't clear about.
No. That
allowing
is
outside Nigerians to.
No, that is for diaspora voting. I'm saying for my party. During this campaign, my party had a presidential campaign council. All right. There was a directory specifically for the diaspora to be able to make input into the campaign, to be able to engage with the campaign council, and be able to bring their ideas and energy and focus into it. So we definitely participate. Yes. We are not there 100% yet, but we are engaging, and our leaders engage with us.
Mr. Weni.
Before we started the program, we discussed Nigeria and we discussed charity. Now,
I remember that.
Yes, I am sure you are aware of Boko Haram. And the Fulani headsmen. Now,
well, that does not answer your question.
I tell you,
let me hear.
It is a sorry sight.
All right.
You go to Nigeria. There are places they call IDPs, internally displaced persons come. It is a very sorry sight. And there is a government. If the charities are not working, the government should step in.
Of course,
Now, if you cannot attend to your own internally displaced people, victims of war, within your country, how then can you take people from neighboring countries? I'm talking about what you say.
What I suggested,
you understand? And now, they will make budgets of millions of dollars. You don't see where this money goes. You need to go. You need to. In fact, I think there is some kind of restriction of making these things public. Just like he said, he doesn't want to make any.
But Steve, you asked him.
So
You asked him about engagement. You asked him about engaging.
I'm going there.
So
I'm going there.
You are conflating. You are simply conflating issues. Because if he wants us to talk about Boko Haram, if he wants us to talk about Boko Haram, I am very much open to discuss Boko Haram. I am very much open to get him to understand that the PDP was responsible for the disaster of Boko Haram in Nigeria.
Can you give me? Because I want you to. I want that question of you as an individual.
That is right. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
As I told you, you need to go to one of these camps. It doesn't matter which one, and go and see what is happening there.
Yeah.
Now, I give you a typical example. A location wider than the whole of East London. People have been displaced.
Yeah.
And before then, these people had registered to vote. But they have been displaced because of the herdsmen or because of the Boko Haram.
Boko Haram, okay.
Some of these people have lost their cards, PVC they call it, because some was destroyed, or because of where they moved to, they cannot vote.
Yeah.
Now, this election, you hear that, votes were cast in such places where there are no people. Now, I have been to Nigeria. I have confronted several government officials with these issues. You go to a place, for example, as I say, the whole of East London, there is no single person there. You see burnt houses. Now, most people in that area are farmers.
Yeah.
The farms destroyed. Now, what are you doing about this? They start to give you stories.
Now,
some will not even talk to you.
Yeah.
Some, when they hear you, in fact, you're right, they don't even respond.
Yeah.
Try even writing to a typical Nigerian official.
Yeah. No, have you tried?
That's
what you're saying. You've tried and nobody responding.
I just told you how is party of votes.
Yeah. Not my party.
Yeah.
No, but that was the question you asked. The question you asked.
Is it you?
That was the question you asked. Because the question you asked was about
this. My party is not in government.
Listen. Okay,
I have approached them. I have written, particularly a paramount ruler was killed. This particular case, I am still pursuing.
Yeah.
I confronted the governor.
Yeah.
Now you can only imagine. He knows where Kano is.
Yeah.
You can only imagine. God forbid, if the paramount ruler of Kano is killed. For example, I said God forbid.
God forbid. Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah, but
this paramount ruler in Plateau State was killed almost like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Nothing has been done.
All I can say.
Do you understand?
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
I have written, I have spoken to this man, and up to this moment,
Yeah.
nothing has been done.
All I can say.
And the president is there.
Yeah.
You remember the Charlie Hebdo incident in France?
Yeah.
President Buhari was the first person to send condolence to France. But hundreds of Nigerians are killed almost every night.
Yeah.
This man, nobody hears him.
Okay.
And then suddenly he has come out to campaign for the election.
Listen.
Which people are voting him? Or their governors?
My main concern here has always been this.
Yes.
Something starts with us. If it starts with you, as Michael Jackson said in Man in the Mirror, when you do something, you feel good in the sense that, like I wrote that later. I feel good that I did.
Yes.
I got the response. I was lucky I got the response.
But I told you why Africans will not do it.
Yeah.
Because they, as I said,
no, but all I can say is that you're both in the responsible positions.
Yeah.
And regardless of what happens, you have influence over issues that are happening, not just to Nigerians here in diaspora, but Nigerians back home. So there are issues of malpractices which I can see here, whether APC is in power or PDP is in power. There are issues of influence that you both can influence. So the reason I ask that is to encourage you people to try it out, so that at the end of the day, it's a big encouragement. It could make a big political change, as Martin Luther King said.
The way forward, the way forward is strengthening the institutions.
Right. Could you give me a minute? Now, I just want to let our viewers know that Omega House TV, obviously, is our main sponsors for this program, and I would like to thank them very much for, of course, our discussions. And if you've been following us, of course, it's on Omega TV Live, and they do quite a lot of things. And this is a time when I feel we need to let you viewers know that Omega TV does quite a lot of things. They're there: flyers, posters, folder leaflets, brochures, booklets, bookmarkers, banners, stationery, quite a lengthy thing. And all I can say here is the telephone number is 0208 520 3359, and I repeat, 0208 520 3359. Give that number a call, and they will obviously let you know what else you can do as far as stationery and whatever you want. You want to print a book, you want to do what? It's up to you, really. They do quite a lot of unlimited kind of things, and once again, I thank them for this program. I want to go back to an issue, but one of the things that we're coming towards the end of the program, and this issue is disturbing me, not only me, but so many other people. The UN report says that Nigeria 2050 will be up to something like 450 million people who live in Nigeria, and their UN is worried 40% of these people are below the ages of 30. Now, there is very little from the two parties, not just from the ruling party, but the two parties, in terms of manifesto, explaining what is going to happen, what they are going to do as far as the population increase in Nigeria is concerned, what they are going to do in terms of building more schools, building more hospitals. Well, these things are written down, but the UN is worried in terms of food, which is going to come. I mean, countries like Malaysia are already planning for 2050, and UK and the others are all developed countries are doing that. But in terms of medicine, in terms of what is going to happen, you as the two chairmen, I don't know whether this is something you need to take back to your parties and explain and say, hey, let's start planning for 450 million Nigerians who are on their way coming, and it's going to be tough on the land, on the resources, and so on and so forth. How do you view this as far as this is concerned? Is this the time? APC? We don't know who'll be in power then. We probably won't be here.
I think that
planning is very important.
The programs that have been put in place by my party, the All Progressives Congress, I think that when you follow what has happened, the way the social investment programs of APC has run over the past 2.5, 3 years since it came on stream, is such that there is a direct intervention with the people. The amount or the resources available for this, is it enough to make the big bang impact? The answer is no. But is effort being made? Is this service being delivered? The answer is yes.
Oh, really?
Like it's never been done before. This is the first time we are having a government that is coming out deliberately to invest in the people under the banner of an overarching program. Okay, the social intervention program. Now, again, in terms of education, is something being done in this regard? We now have several states, and I think that looking at the federal government alone would be a big mistake in this regard. I think that we need to look at the states, because the primary education, secondary education is within the purview of the states. Is something being done in this regard? The federal government is intensely helping at the state level to ensure that children who hitherto will be on the streets begging are now in school because of the school feeding program. So there are states where you have had over 200% increase in attendance in schools. I give you a particular example of Kaduna State, where the governor has been so focused on the issue of education that he set examination for all the teachers, and many of them could not measure up.
Oh, really?
Yes, several of them, and they were all weeded out. They paid them their emoluments and laid them off. And recently, they have brought in over 10,000 new teachers who are trained, and he has employed, not in the guise or in the name of, oh, that man is from my state or is not from my state. No, he has simply gone out to employ good teachers. You talked about food. Food production in Nigeria, since this government came into power, has gone like that, exponentially. Is it enough? The answer is no. But is something being done about this? The answer is yes. Nigeria at this point in time has the challenge of desertification as well. Desertification, because we are having the Sahara Desert creeping into the country.
I was going to mention that.
And you know how passionately Mr. President Buhari has been on that issue, to the extent that he was now made the lead person, the chairman of the Lake Chad Basin, the regional body, to coordinate, because several countries need to come together to tackle this issue.
Prevent that,
So we know that something is being done. The question is, carrying on with all these programs, are they sufficient without population control? And I think that this is where the issue of our cultural outlook to life and public education comes in, because there is a need for population control.
Obviously,
you can have all the resources, you can have all the money.
China has tried to do that. I want to know, Mr. Mawili.
You see, talking about education, starting from where he came up. Now, universal basic education was started by the PDP government. And we have what we call nomadic education, or nomadic primary education in Nigeria for people that are nomadic.
Moving from one place to
now,
another.
When you now go there to these schools, you'll hardly find anybody there.
Ah, really?
Talking about feeding, how will you feel if your child goes to school? I have clips to show you here. A slice, you know how a slice of bread is? Cut it into two. And then take some watery so-called stew and put it on top and give the child in the hand, and they would be making noise that they are feeding children in school. What kind of feeding is that? Or you will go to school and give children 500 naira and be shouting, "Thank you, APC, thank you." How can we move forward like that? Do you understand? The human being is born to be productive.
Of course.
Do you understand? Either positively or negatively. The human being will always do something. And as it is said, an ideal mind is a devil's workshop. Now, we have a lot of Nigerian youths that are unemployed.
40% of the population.
There is so much insecurity in this country.
Okay.
Do you understand? Two wrongs can never make a right.
Of course not,
And if we are going to move forward, then this government, eventually when we take over, what we intend to do is to make sure we strengthen the institutions and make sure we create employment for the teeming youths. Now, insecurity. Why don't you take this youth, employ them into the forces, the police?
It's come back to resources.
Why not employ them as teachers?
Time is catching up with us, and maybe I wanted to find out something with the continuation of something which is going to be the last one. The continuation of what Jonathan had started. Did the APC finish up the job, continue with the work that Jonathan had started?
Every project they claim to have finished was started by Jonathan. But they don't have
did they work on those projects?
Of course they did.
They have.
Most of them were even paid up front by the Jonathan government.
Okay.
So now, if there is, let them mention even one project that they initiated and completed.
No, but if
in the 4 years,
the idea was
government is a continuum. Yes.
Yeah. The continuation,
and that is what we expect.
Is the key thing, because at least if the continuation was there, then that means that regardless of what is happening in Nigeria, the continuation means that there is something that they might have.
That is how it should be.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Not waste your time blaming.
Because my main worry is that if they had cut off all the communication, if they had stopped some of the projects and then continue with their
they have stopped some, renamed them, and then
you want me to answer him?
Do that.
You want me to
in a few minutes.
Very few minutes. You see, the PDP has a knack, for parabolating all over the place without focusing on an issue. One of the key achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari is this: he introduced the discipline needed in governance back into Nigeria. When a project is in place, you don't stop it if it is beneficial to the people. And he has done that. The PDP, I'm sure you heard some 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, Nigeria is to pay £8-something billion in arbitration costs in the UK because one of their governments came into office and cancelled a project that was initiated by the man before him without thinking of the consequences, without looking at the legal implications, and the people came back to the UK and took Nigeria to the arbitration court, and judgment has been delivered against Nigeria. That is the consequence of behaving in government as if you are an island to yourself and you don't have the
Buhari did the same thing. The Lagos we are talking about, over $60 million had to be forfeited by the Buhari administration because he didn't want Lagos government to proceed with it.
I want to during this time.
Listen,
or when it was this time.
So if you are talking about this past,
listen, Doctor and Mr. Moini, I'm extremely happy that at least you can agree to the fact that the continuation was in government was there, and regardless of whichever differences are existing between your two parties, I believe that you all have Nigeria's interest at heart, because without the infightings and so on, sometimes there is no development. We've seen it here in the UK, where obviously the Labour Party and the Conservative Party always have that. But at the end of the day, the interest of the country comes first, which is very, very, very important. And I believe that Nigeria will achieve that, regardless of who has done what or who has done this. It happens in a home. The father and the mother, or even the brothers, can fight, but they usually get back together. And I believe that.
Well, the intention is for Nigeria to get better.
Right. We do hope for the best. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, and I do hope that we'll be together again, or at some other time when we discuss the issue of Nigeria once again. Before we go, I just want to go back to the Omega House. Thank Omega House once again for this program and for the sponsorship of this program. And as I said, there's quite a lot that Omega House TV can do. The printings, there are quite a lot of things that actually do. All you need to do is give them a call, and they will explain all the details. I repeat the number once again: 0208-520-3359. Give them a call if you're here in London, wherever you are. You may not be. And then obviously they will do what? They will explain all the details of the things that they do. Of course, as I said earlier, the flyers, the posters, the folded leaflets, broadcasts, booklets, bookmarks, banners. The list really goes on and on and on. I want to thank you once again for viewing us, and I do hope that we're together again next week for next week's program on Africa Speaks. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.